This massive ring around me, with a 56-meter circumference, is a synchrotron. Yes, a particle accelerator, the kind you associate with researching the origins of the universe, but this one is different. It's not for discovering new particles, but for treating cancer. It accelerates a beam of carbon ions to 70% of the speed of light. Then it directly shatters large clusters of cancer cells. Hello everyone, I'm Aping. Today, let's talk about using particle accelerators to fight cancer. This entire building before you is the Zhejiang Cancer Hospital Heavy Ion Treatment Center, but it's also a massive medical device. Every room, pipe, and component in this building is designed to destroy tumors cleanly without harming healthy tissue. To understand why this is so difficult, we must first look at how cancer begins. It starts with a single fertilized egg that divides repeatedly to form the human body. This is a normal physiological process, but the sheer number required to form a human body is staggering. It's estimated that an adult male typically has about 36 trillion cells. With so many cells, errors inevitably occur during division and differentiation. When certain cells multiply abnormally and grow out of control, they form a tumor. The malignant part of that tumor is called cancer. When people talk about cancer, they usually think of a solid tumor, a mass of flesh that grows relentlessly. Forget principles for a moment. Faced with a growing mass of flesh inside the body, our first reaction is usually, shouldn't we just cut it out? Surgery is the oldest and most fundamental way to treat tumors. It's fast and thorough, but it has its own unique drawbacks. First, surgery is invasive and requires an incision. This brings risks of bleeding, infection, and anesthesia accidents. More importantly, every patient's condition is different. In many cases, surgery isn't possible, or even if it is, we can't always cut the entire tumor out accurately and completely. We need a better way. In 1895, German physicist Wilhelm Röntgen discovered X-rays. 4 years later, Henry Becquerel discovered radioactivity. Soon after, people began attempting to use radiation to treat tumors. Early radiotherapy used high-energy X-ray beams of photons. In the body, they interact with atoms and molecules to kill cancer cells. This happens in two ways. One is direct action. High-speed electrons strike and break the cancer cell's DNA chain, but photons are so small that direct hits are rare. Most of the work is done via indirect action. Photons are much more likely to hit water molecules than DNA. When high-speed electrons collide with water in the cells, they produce a large amount of highly unstable chemical-free radicals. Radicals fly like pellets, attacking and destroying the DNA structure, causing it to break. Wait, hold on. If indirect action has such a wide range, then in this process, how does it distinguish between cancer cells and healthy cells? Good question. The answer is it doesn't. Free radicals attack the DNA of every cell equally. Theoretically, every cell suffers, but cancer cells divide rapidly and have unstable genomes. Their DNA repair capacity is often weaker than normal cells. Normal cells have thick health bars, while cancer cells have thin ones. An X-ray blast hit can kill cancer cells while allowing normal cells to barely survive on a sliver of health. But there's another problem. X-rays cause penetrating damage, meaning they harm everything along the light path. Healthy tissue in front of and behind the tumor is also damaged. For large tumors, the effectiveness of photon therapy drops. Oxygen is low inside. Turn up the power and healthy tissue fails, turn it down, and the cancer cells survive. This delicate balance is very hard to maintain, so is there anything that can cut as cleanly as a scalpel without harming shallow tissues? Yes. It's called heavy ion therapy. It uses high-energy beams of carbon ions to precisely destroy cancer cells. But why carbon ions? Because carbon ions are actual physical matter. They occupy space, whereas photons are more like packets of energy. Photons have no rest mass or volume. They are just electromagnetic carriers. Let's use a simple example to understand the difference. Emitting photons is like blowing a gust of wind. It has a wide range, but you can't concentrate all the energy on a fixed point. Emitting carbon ions is more like firing a high-speed bullet into water. When the bullet first enters the water, it's so fast that resistance is low. But as it slows down, the water's resistance increases sharply, eventually forming a massive, destructive cavity. In the microscopic world, Coulomb force slows heavy ions down. The Bethe-Bloch formula describes this energy release. Briefly, particle speed is inversely proportional to energy release. Slower carbon ions release much more energy. When they stop completely, their energy explodes. Because energy is concentrated in a tiny area, the radiation dose spikes like a mountain peak. We call this the Bragg peak. This is the secret to heavy ion therapy's pinpoint accuracy. But to penetrate deep into the body, normal speed isn't enough. We must accelerate carbon ions to incredible speeds. Not in meters or miles, but in fractions of light speed. These particles enter a massive synchrotron to reach 70% of the speed of light, creating a high-energy beam. This magnificent machine has 5 core components. First is the ion source where the journey begins. Methane gas is pumped into this orange chamber. After stripping away electrons, positive carbon ions enter. A small linear accelerator for preliminary boosting. At specific speeds, they enter this giant ring. Behold the heart of the system, the synchrotron. It shares the same principle as Europe's famous LHC. Using electromagnetic fields to constantly boost the ion beam, magnets guide the particles in a circular path. At a fixed point radio frequency, RF cavities act as guns. They create high-frequency fields that push ions like surfers on a wave. Of course, one push isn't nearly enough. So the RF cavity constantly flips its field strength and direction. Each pass through the cavity gives the ion another kick. Each kick might be small, but at hundreds of thousands of laps per second, reaches extreme speed. In a medical accelerator, carbon ions can reach 210,000 kilometers per second. Then, the beam is fired into the patient. It maintains a low, steady energy level, passing through healthy tissue at the target depth. Energy explodes, creating the Bragg peak, vaporizing the tumor completely. Then, the energy level drops to 0 instantly, safe behind the tumor. Tumors are 3D. We can imagine this process as 3D printing, but in reverse. It prints away tumors, but there's a catch. Humans move. A tumor's position on a CT scan can shift during treatment. How do we ensure precision when the patient is in the room? If I were the patient, what would my heavy ion treatment look like? First, I'd get an on-site CT scan immediately, ensuring my body state matches the plan 100%. Then, a robotic arm moves me to this treatment bed. The bed moves in 6 directions for perfect alignment. Clamps hold my body to keep my body from shifting even a millimeter. Laser guides help align everything back to the original plan. The system even monitors my body in real time, because a single breath or heartbeat can move the tumor. To eliminate these natural movement errors, the system uses respiratory gating control. Essentially, the machine times the ion burst to my breathing. The beam fires only when the tumor moves into his crosshairs. With multi-layer verification and the Bragg peak effect, heavy ion therapy kills tumors with extreme precision. Take prostate cancer, for example. It is wedged between organs. Traditional photon therapy can treat it, but photons harm the path. Even if cured, patients often suffer from radiation or bone marrow suppression from excessive radiation. These side effects severely impact quality of life. Photon proctitis, 8 to 10%. Heavy ion therapy, only about 2%. Data from Japan also proves 5 and 10-year prostate cancer survival rates are 95%, and side effects are significantly lower. Beyond precision, heavy ions have an advantage in total kills. Experiments show photon effectiveness depends on oxygen. Photons need oxygen. For large tumors, the outer layer might be killed, but the inner core remains unreachable for photons. Why does oxygen help radiation kill cells? While not certain, the oxygen fixation hypothesis is widely accepted. Simply put, oxygen doesn't kill the cells itself. It locks in the damage caused by free radicals. Without oxygen, cells can quickly repair themselves. But with oxygen, the destructive power doubles. Oxygen is like a debuff that prevents cells from healing. Normally, healthy cells are rich in oxygen, but cancer cells like to play by their own rules. Despite growing new blood vessels, malignant blood vessels can't keep up. So X-rays rely on this oxygen debuff to kill cancer. But without oxygen in the core, tumor cells survive. Photons often fail here, allowing cancer to recur. Pancreas tumor. It's often severely hypoxic, making photons ineffective. The 2-year survival rate using photons is only 38%. But with heavy ions, that number jumps to over 56%.
Heavy ions
destroy
destroy
DNA via extremely high ionization density. This process is completely independent
Heavy
of
ions
oxygen. Simply ignore the tumor's hypoxic state. While cancer cells have damage reduction, heavy ions deal true damage. It's proven by large-scale clinical practice. Right here in this building, Zhejiang Cancer Hospital has successfully treated over 500 patients with heavy ions, including critical cases of pancreatic cancer and many cases of non-small cell lung cancer, the most common kind. Behind these numbers aren't just cold statistics, but over 500 families saved by advanced technology. From surgery to photons and now heavy ions, we haven't just found the destination, we've met to goals, precise identification and total destruction. This is truly a top-tier choice for patients today. Yet it's not perfect. The biggest hurdle, it's incredibly expensive. Zhejiang invested 1.2 billion yuan, from equipment
about
to $170 million.
construction
in
costs
the center. Millions. Costs millions yearly. It remains a luxury medical resource. The high cost keeps many patients outside its doors. Treats only clear tumors. For systemic cancers like leukemia or advanced metastasized cancers, it too is helpless. So why do we put so much effort into developing it? Rich only? No way. We developed this technology not because it's perfect, but because it's expensive. That's precisely why we must. Because it can't help everyone yet, we must push harder. Behind this giant machine isn't just medical tech, but humanity's defense system against cancer. From particle physics to precision manufacturing, each fix, each price drop is a step closer to bringing advanced medicine to everyone. One day, accelerators won't take up an entire building. Expensive equipment will become compact and common. Then heavy ion therapy won't just be a hope for the few, but a solid shield protecting countless lives. This is the true purpose of our endless exploration. Medical progress always starts with the hardest steps. We don't stop because every effort today means more smiles and lives saved tomorrow. In this center, thousands of ion beams fire every day, fighting bit by bit to reclaim hope from death. The war on cancer is long, but we have better weapons now. The future of medicine lies in knowledge and technology. We stand at the threshold of miracles. Thank you for exploring this scientific journey with me. I hope today's knowledge helped you understand heavy ions. The world around us is full of wonders waiting. Stay curious and never stop learning. Knowledge is the best shield for your health. If you found this video helpful, please like and subscribe. Your support drives us to create more episodes. We will always be your partner in the search for knowledge. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. The journey to healing begins with faith and technology. We will overcome this. Particle physics, medicine, and compassion go hand in hand. Thanks to the medical staff and silent engineers. They operate this great machine for the sake of life. No matter how hard it gets, there's light at the end. Never give up hope, no matter how small. Welcome to a new era of medicine. I'm Bad Review, that's all for today. If you like this, please follow and share. Chat with me in comments. Follow us for more exciting updates. See you next time, bye.